Welcome to the 13th house. Come on in, take your shoes off, make yourselves at home, and get weird with me for a little bit. If you're new here, welcome in. Welcome to the weirdness. It's going to be exactly that. If you are returning, thank you so much for finding something here worth returning to. As always, your perception is your responsibility, okay? Please use your discernment. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Don't try to make anything fit that doesn't belong, okay? And for my protection and yours as well, anything I say, do, what have you on this channel or the content therein is for entertainment purposes only, alright? If you know, you know. I'll go to say it. So with that out of the way, how's everybody handling this wolf moon energy? And not just wolf moon, super wolf moon, by the way. So it's got an extra oomph, okay? The wolf moon is already known for, clearing out what was, stepping into what is ahead with confidence, okay? Loyalty, loyalties may be getting tested or strengthened. All right, opportunities are coming in strong your way, all right? Like I said, with it being a supermoons amplify the energy that is already present. So, we're going to dive in and see what more this wolf moon might be doing for you and the energy around you at this time. We have alchemy in the dark. Ego is the gatekeeper. And Lilith. Oh, interesting. Okay. On the bottom of the deck, we have Taurus. Being reliable, being strong, cherishing relationships, learning from mistakes. That's always good. Alright. Alchemy in the dark. Transformation begins where the light refuses to go. Don't wait for clarity. Begin the confusion. The fire that forges you is born of friction. Trust the becoming. Potential is cradled in the depths of complete darkness as it takes form and prepares to emerge, reborn into the light. And we have ego is the gatekeeper. The ego guards the temple of self, not to block you, but to test your readiness. Instead of trying to destroy your ego, sit beside it, ask it what it fears. Listen long enough and you'll hear the soul speaking through its armor. Okay? Ironed with Lilith. The dark moon. Repressed feelings, emotions surfacing, darker sexuality, the shadow secrets, dark dreams, raw feminine power. Alright. And this also directly talks about this super wolf moon energy because with that push forward, in order to do that, you have to be able to release or transmute the lingering energies that you had been holding. All right, that is the alchemy. You might be noticing today, you might be very emotional. You might have, you might just be more sensitive than usual. Might be a bit weepy or just touchy, moody, quick to anger. Whatever emotion has been kind of pushed to the side for you to work through throughout the year is what's going to surface at that time as the last purge being pushed out, as this energy really starts to settle in. Okay, your manifestations are going to be amplifying, so be mindful of that. All right, take time to, of course, feel what you're feeling, but be sure to dedicate time for about the next week or so to make time for yourself. Think about, your priorities, where you're wanting to go in life. What are you wanting in the now, and how is that, going to be conducive, or, how is that going to bring you closer to where you want to be longer term? The more that you focus on your manifestations and dedicate time to refining that energy, the more flow is going to go into that so that life can reflect it back to you, okay? with Alchemy in the Dark, there's criminal enterprises, and then ego is the gatekeeper, transformation, okay? Why is everything wanting to be cattywampus? I'm trying to make it look all pretty. Anyway, we have what we have for Lilith. All right, with this darker sexuality, dark dreams, the shadow. All right, I'm getting that, you know, you are embracing more and more, you know, what the shadow's here for. I think a lot of those in the collective, you know, especially like I tap in mostly into the collective subconscious and collective unconscious, okay? And here lately it has been a recurrent theme where more and more within the collective are coming around to understanding, like, okay, this is why the shadow is so important. This is why, you know, the toxic positivity and this and that, you know, continues to prove to be ineffective and what have you. Is because this, the darker aspects are the parts of you that have been pushed back and repressed because either someone told you not to, or that energy needed to be raised up and matured more before it could actually surface and help you be more productive in your life. Sometimes our shadow can, you know, put a damper on things because it may not be appropriate. It has to learn, just like, you know, we've had to learn through life when and where and why and how. So too does the shadow. Okay, and then on the bottom of the deck we have deception. So, you know, with these opportunities coming ahead, you're going to have people, of course, that are going to want to hone in on that. All right. The shadow is a wonderful companion to have on your side. This is why shadow work is so important, because it's going to be able to help you see what others are trying to hide in their shadow. Shadows see each other, you know. And so it's going to be something significant for you coming up soon, is the integrated parts of your shadow, learning how to listen deeper, using this mental force here, giving it space to move and surface in your day-to-day life, your day-to-day activities, instead of keeping it repressed. But you're finding healthy ways to express it. You've cultivated spaces for it to exist outside of yourself in a very balanced way, and that's really good. With the alchemy in the dark and the criminal enterprises, what this is telling me is that you know, you've already noticed, and you either have currently moved away from a situation, or you're in the process of it, where someone's been harvesting off of your energy, right? Whether it be fear, doubt, anxiety, what have you. Someone was benefiting from this energy, and then like integrating your shadow also plays into this as well. It's harder to work you over with the criminal enterprises and deception when your shadow is a ally of your mental force. Okay, ego is the gatekeeper. Transformation of your ego, and this goes here. Alchemy in the dark. Transformation begins where the light refuses to go. All right, and that speaks volumes that criminal enterprises came out with that, and then on the bottom of the deck we have gang. Because you can really start to see the card that usually comes out a lot in the handmade deck that I use is not all light is love. Okay, and this whole agenda to, you know, kill the ego and banish the shadow, it's been a whole thing, and it seems like a lot of you are coming around to understanding that on such a deeper level. That's really bringing forth profound change, and really laying groundwork for this transformation to open up possibilities for you that, you know, had you not done that, may not have been able to come through in the way that they're going to. Alright. For Alchemy in the Dark and Criminal Enterprises, yep, we have Betrayal. Alright. Deceit, disloyalty, conspiracy, and broken bonds. Exactly. That conspiracy I was talking about with that toxic positivity, oversaturation of light. Have you ever been in a room, like, think of a bright white room, and you step in and somebody turns on countless bright white LED lights? That shit is blinding. It hurts. It's bombarding to the entire system inside and out. So too is oversaturation of light on the, like, with polarity and whatnot. Inside of yourself too. Okay? But when that happens, like, in lighting like that, everything can be seen. And, like, for my ladies out there, you know how it is when you're trying to get ready to go somewhere and you go to someone else's house or what have you, you're at a hotel, and you go to get in front of the mirror and they have those awful, bright, tacky LED lights that as you're trying to put on your makeup and shit, like, it shows every little imperfection, every pore, every discoloration, what have you. Alright, and so, when you think about a lot of the perfectionism that is associated with light, you can see how, like, the oversaturation starts to push the shadow away, and then why it's important for the ego to be present. It's not supposed to be a mask for you to hide behind. That's when it gets bad, okay? If you're using it as a mask to try to get people's attention away from the shadow, right, instead of actually doing your shadow work, then it can become an issue. However, like, community came out here, neighbors, team, connection, growth, and cooperation, transformation. You're starting to understand, like, as not just you, but, like, the whole collective, all right, that your ego is your representative, all right, and a mask, because think about, like, your soul doesn't have a form, right? Who you are is what your soul chose to give a face to, right? Like, you are the face of your soul, all right? And if you are including your shadow aspects in that reflection of that internal self, and then it's going to be an authentic reflection, right? It's not going to be a false image. It's not going to be oversaturated with, too much light, too much darkness, whatever. It's going to be balanced, okay? And since the way you interact with your community, those around you, relies on the lens of perception, okay? So you're thinking about through the lens, you have to have the right, refraction. The lens has to be clear, not cracked, and what have you, all right? That transformation is not only, like, happening with the lens of perception, it's happening also on, what is being observed, what is being seen, the mask that is worn to represent yourself. And then with Lilith here, with mental force and madman, embracer of madness, frenzy, chaos, unruly, and possession. All right. Some that are, that are still trying to work out the balance. They're still trying to, heal parts of their shadow so it can integrate into the whole self. May see your tactics and what have you as madness, okay? There are people that, have this idea that if you think for yourself and the way that you interact with, thoughts that are carrying on the airwaves, that, you're somehow possessed by something. It's weird, but, what have you. Because the way that they associate this, this shadow energy, right? And so, and especially if you're someone who has, like, a very, I don't want to confine it to just the feminine polarity, but like your sexuality, the allure, the magnetic way that you draw others in and draw in your manifestations, what have you, is very sensual, sexual in nature. A lot of times people can try to say that, at succubus or incubus energy, and they still aren't grasping, what demonic forces actually are. They're runaway projections of what isn't addressed in a moment. So, like, for example, you have a guy and a woman, and she walks by and she's wearing these cute clothes. It's like a short skirt, a tube top, whatever. This guy walking by has all these thoughts about lust and this and that, all right, and he's got this carnal desire, right? But he's wearing a mask. He hasn't come into balance with his shadow. He's still trying to mask it, right? And so he's going to project onto her, well, it's what she's wearing that brought that energy to rise up in me. If she hadn't have been dressed like that, then that never would have happened. And nobody says anything. Nobody calls it out, okay? And so that false projection then is directed at that woman as she walks by. Not even a word spoken. All happening up here. But she walks by, and then there's that projection following her. Like, is this where I belong? Okay, this is how this was perceived. Like, and it's energy. And you can think of it as an entity, what have you, because the more attention and focus and whatnot that one gives to these energies, okay, can amplify it, it can integrate it. There's a whole realm of how things exist beyond just what we can see, okay? But that's just an example, because like the whole thing of like possession came out or whatnot, all right? And there can be times when one can be influenced, like say that woman goes home and she's with her boyfriend or something, and what she wore, she's getting undressed, and normally let's say that this girl has like really strong boundaries, what have you, and but there's now this projection that's following her around that was, brushed off by someone else's defunct perception, okay? Her boyfriend goes to ask her, he's like coming up, rubbing on her, hey, well, you want to go lay down, da-da-da-da-da, and now there's this projection that's subconsciously influencing her, whispering things into her ear, like, that are from the defunct mind that it came from. Alright? Give in to that desire. Oh, you can't blame him. Aren't you beautiful? It's because of what you're wearing that, and you have all this appeal and blah, blah, blah. And, even though she might not be in the mood, then she gives in. Okay? And say this happens repeatedly, for a few weeks. Then it becomes a habitual thing. And then when she finally goes to try to exert her boundaries with her significant other, then all of a sudden that significant other is taking it personally because he's come to expect a certain response from her in regard to that type of interaction. I hope I'm making sense here. I know I went off on a little tangent, but if it comes up, it's got to come out. It's for somebody. Okay, and then back to, and that's also in with this transformation in community, like how calling things out and holding not only ourselves but each other accountable, and not in a judgmental way. When we're holding others accountable, we're not projecting onto them what we think they should be. It's making them aware of the facts. Nothing more, nothing less. If someone, is in a situation like with that girl and that guy at the beginning, if that guy would have done something to assault that woman when they first crossed paths, and anyone were to try to say anything about the way that she was dressed or what have you, or try to give the argument that had she not been there at that exact time, that the whole situation never would have happened. If people would speak up and not be ashamed to say, it's not anything that she has going on with her that's the problem. It's in your own mind. It's what you first notice about someone. And to be very honest and raw with each other and say, yes, I know this is hard. And for all of us to get off of our high horse and stop pretending like at some point in time we were not in a similar situation to have to face something uncomfortable about ourselves. And be like, I know it's hard, especially when someone's very attractive. But the fact that you immediately when you see someone of the opposite sex and you see a little bit of skin, you immediately go to them. And then people will often deflect, well, I can't help it. It's just, it's a natural human reaction. Okay, that might be true, but you're more than human. You aren't just a human. You are consciousness dwelling within a human vessel. People all the time want to use like the animalistic side of our nature as a scapegoat. But even animals have a limit, and they can't even reach some of the limits that we have as humans. So when are we gonna, talk about the other side of that coin that everybody's wanting to, use this the little scapegoat thing, whatever. Anyways, moving on. I've harped on that enough. All right, then we have Knight at the bottom of the deck. Keeper of honor, armor, battle, and loyalty. All right, talking about the wolf moon energies and like testing loyalty, like the honor you keep within yourself, the armor, okay? And this talks about the ego is the gatekeeper here. Instead of trying to destroy your ego or kill it, sit beside it, ask it what it fears, listen long enough, and you'll hear the soul speaking through its armor, okay? How working with the shadow and integrating it and not expecting to just shove everything into the light all at once, how it can transform not just you, but a whole community, a whole society. Or then it starts to, again, ripple outward, right? And when everyone's cooperating, not based on all these strange fringe concepts and principles and what have you, but on the basic level of recognition of like, I know what you're made of, you know what I'm made of, and let's quit carrying shame and pride and all this bullshit from every other aspect into every interaction. A basic level of respect to the representative of each soul, each other's egos. Like, we bash on that too much. And you are seeing through the shit show on that, okay? Alright, so for Alchemy in the Dark, Criminal Enterprises, Betrayal, what is that here for? Okay, Community. Alright, yep, I was just talking about this. Alright, and for Ego is the Gatekeeper, Transformation, and Community. And we have Main Male. Alright, so it's like talking about transformation of the masculine polarity here. Alright, and how it can impact the whole community. Alright, inside and out, macro and micro. Because this here, with this reflecting the community over this way with the alchemy and ego and how this is all flowing in like a circle here, right? How betrayal of self, betrayal of another, especially when we're talking about, the feminine form, a feminine body, okay? The whole community of a opposing polarity from this this is male, all right? This community here is female. This community here is male, okay? And this also, it's created this whole, that betrayal created this whole conspiracy against one side of the polarity here. Give me 1 minute, please. Sorry, somebody's knocking at my door. But before I lose my train of thought, I want to go ahead and speak on that. And like I said, this is nothing personal. This is truth. It doesn't have to be, picked apart like that. And it's all right. We all have to learn, and to take accountability for something is always okay. 1 second. All right, sorry about that. It was my daughter. She was wanting to know if when I'm done, I'll turn a game on for her. So, but anyways, back to this. with the shadow Lilith here, mental force, madman, and we have bad health. Okay, that's what we were talking about. Is how having this whole conspiratorial thing, just using like broken bonds, deceit, disloyalty, this conspiracy against the other aspect of polarity. Like, and this goes so deep. This goes even beyond masculine, feminine, male, female. This can even be traced all the way down to the root of when Source split from one into two. From one whole something into the two polarities. And now, did it actually split, or was it just recognizing and then having, experiences through two types of embodiments based on perception of itself? Okay. The bad health. And we're seeing a lot of this now with the male loneliness epidemic, and a lot of women are just fed up, and they just don't want relationships, period. They just don't want to deal with it. All right. And it's got this it's like this darker feminine energy. It's like, we as women have a right to our sexuality and everything without it being weaponized against us. And men have a right to experience, their sexuality and everything without weaponizing it or imposing it or forcing it upon anyone else. All right. And it's like this, the darker feminine aspect is, and even the darker masculine aspect is like, are you a fucking madman? Like, what are you're putting, like, it's the whole, even the mental force, the mental fortitude behind all of it, like the logic and everything, is in bad health. It's time to clear it out. And what this super wolf moon seems to be translating in regard to this is that this year we're going to see a lot of progress being made. Internally within the collective, and as well as the way it's going to be reflecting outside of ourselves. And that reflection is going to be made up of how each of us choose to handle this, and for each of us to take our share of responsibility in the outcome of it. Okay. And we have high honor on the bottom of the deck. So it seems like, to me, there's going to be like this restoration of honor on both sides, masculine and feminine. I don't know how yet, but it really does feel like there's something shifting within the soul, within the spirit, because I was talking about this in one of my prior videos about the failsafe. Whenever the mind, the mental, gets to a certain point of failsafe triggers, okay, and the subconscious and the shadow aspects rise up to protect that, and as like it's like a default, okay, and it gets shit done, okay. So it's going to be interesting, to say the least. The bee spirit tried to peek out there, sweet results await, so that's good to see that popping out there. But I have been picking up a lot on this energy of, something's got to give when it comes to the rift between, the polarities here. And, everything responds to that. The communication between the earth and the sun right now, the magnetic field and the way it's interacting with the earth, the way the sun's magnetic field is interacting with the earth's magnetic field. The transmissions being put, going back and forth. And what's interesting is, during these CME events and whatnot, the plasma density in those coronal mass ejections, what comes from the earth-facing side of the sun creates really, like, if you study particle physics and quantum physics, what have you, even astrophysics, okay, you start to understand what's really happening in that exchange, all right? And you can pull, spiritual principles into that, and especially with, like, the laws of emergence and what manifesting is, and how that mirrors emergence and how it works, and why the density and plasma density is so significant. I'll leave that at that, but this is how things literally, how a nothing becomes a something. Alright. Bat spirit, a rebirth is assured. A rebirth is assured. Okay. Then we have the peacock spirit, let it shine. Okay. And this is interesting because this came over here with the shadow and this blue color. Alright. And this light is shining through from the heart space. Okay. Oh. So it's like the authentic expression is going to dissolve the false ego. So that which dwells in the heart is going, because the mental force, alright, our polarities also sit as, like, right and left hand of the seat of consciousness within ourselves. On the right, on one side you have light, on the left you have shadow, what have you, or vice versa, whichever way you want to work it. Alright? But you can also think of it as, like, the way that, the throne of God, like, God sits at the highest seat, and then he has the head archangel of one side here, and the head archangel of over here. Okay, now, since the throne is here, this is the seat that the vehicle is able to interact with the physical world. It's the driver's seat, okay? But the heart is deep within, okay? So, like, the integrity of all of it is placed in here, okay? And so, when the atmosphere of here has reached a certain point where it can't, like, this is talking about, like, bad health and everything, so it's got to heal, something's got to, so it's like taking what was beneath, and you're, like, cycling it, okay, so it's got to have this adjustment made, alright, I'm just going to put it that way, because it's a rebirth, right, so, the light that comes from here, and it's not permeating light, it's not false light, it's not the reflection of this ego that was built off of a notion, a mental notion of self, but rather the integrity in the heart of self. That false perception, that false image is burned away by the light that shines through authentically. Okay? It's like having something real versus a hologram. Okay? Like, what's real is always going to the hologram can shut off. The real, it's still going to be there when the lights go out, so to speak. Okay? And then on the bottom of the deck, wombat spirit, be at home. Okay, home is where the what is? The heart. Okay. I'm going to get a few more, and then I'm going to call it, because this one's pushing on 34 minutes, and I did a really deep fucking dive there. Okay. I want to go to these. Let's see. Alright, what do you want to tell us regarding this? Oh, shoot. We have Gritty Dedication, Fraud Hunter. Alright. Just like I was saying, you know, with the rebirth and everything, like, some of us placed them within the community, and this might be, applicable to you, whoever you are that this is resonating with. You might be one of the ones that, has been hidden in plain sight to help hunt down the fraud, okay? To see where it lies, to test it, to push it, because you know you have the strength and fortitude, okay, to stand before that false image, that false projection, and it can't stand against you. No matter how it tries to argue, present its case, tries to persuade you, what have you, to give in to the ideals, the notions, what have you, that were implanted into its source, the mind that it came from, okay, then you are able to take that energy, that false projection, and alchemize it, okay? You raise it up, because the source it came from never took the time to. And it continues to let, like, false projections run about, okay? But, you know, you have raised up your own shadow. You have integrated your whole being. The way, like, your magnetism and everything is off the charts. And so, whatever tries to stand against you cannot stand in opposition to you. Therefore, you know no adversary, because whatever encounters you and lingers in your field has to transmute. It's a part of it, and then it gets integrated into your system, and in it doing that, it's undergoing this process that I was talking about, you know, through that heart space. And so even if you aren't directly influencing, you know, you may have no idea who this individual is that is the host of all of those false projections over countless amounts of time, on top of their progenies that have come about that were a result of how they influenced others, and then those others' false projections, because they will do as those had done before them, what have you. That you don't operate on that, okay? It's like, I did the reading, not yesterday, but the day before, about a powerful weapon hidden in plain sight. Alright, then we have, exactly, it's a labor of love. Stay true to all you love. Amorite. Okay? Because you know the original source of love. You know it because you carry it. You always have. You know that it can exist in this world because you exist in this world. Alright? And for there to be any hope of, you know, some of us experiencing the kind of love that we have given, well, you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. And that means if you inherit a garden that is full of weeds, you grab your scythe, you get to slicing, okay? You sow, you nurture the soil, alright? You do what you have to. And, you know, you don't have to directly go to the host of these projections to begin that healing, alright? And then we have, your wish is my command, the top of the world, alright? And you see there's this, figure here. It's like a stone figure, alright? So, a lot of the shadow and everything, like I was talking about, being kept in the dark in the realm of the shadows, of course. Not being looked at, not being noticed, alright? Oh, this is going to be hard to explain easily. So think for a minute about the art from the past, right? You have these statues and so on that look, they just look too well made. They look like a petrified being. It doesn't look like a work of art. It looks like a person or what have you literally just got frozen in time like that. And you can dive deeper into that with, the whole thing about Medusa and what it really meant. And this is also a result of this defunct perception, this mental whatever that had been hosted, was that, you hear that some hear the story and immediately think of Medusa as something that she's not. And she wasn't. That was just the perception that someone had of her. It's a projection, okay? But the truth of the matter is just like I was talking about with having the ability to transmute these false projections, all right, and hold them within yourself. They might be a part of the integrity of what they were before they came into that mind that distorted them. They may be aware of their image, okay? So we're encroaching into subconscious territory and into the territory of the imagination. How does the imagination come up with what it visualizes, and how is that image presented to you through that inner lens of perception, right? So if somebody were to just say a simple word like fairy, okay, based on that word, what in your head do you picture? Okay? What does that look like to you? All right. So what this is saying is these figures, because you have done the work to restore them. All right. This is very difficult to try to explain quickly. But their energies, their forms, and everything were distorted and put into this false projection, right? And that's why you don't see a lot of what had been, because what had been couldn't exist as its true self, the way that it was being perceived. And until the collective perception is healed, or enough can at least hold that the integrity of what it is in its true reflection, then it cannot step into the grid and coexist. If that makes sense, I'm hoping it does. For those who are meant to hear it, you'll understand exactly what I mean. I'm overthinking it. Anyways, then we have stars, pearls. Art is hope. It's opportunity. It's education. It's all the things we want. We have some good news. This is just what I was saying. These things are more than just works of art. It's deeper than that. It's so much deeper than that. You have core memory, and you have been taught that it's something it's not. It's been this whole conspiracy against a certain part of perception that allowed for a full genuine expression of something, that because this is the power of perception that a lot of the collective had never been taught about. Perception is so powerful. And things like this reflect that. And this is why it's so important to teach from an early age about holding yourself accountable, holding each other accountable, and doing it in a way that is not being, pious or arrogant or what have you, because none of us are any better than anyone else. We all, whether or not we've said it out loud, we have done, we have said, we have thought some of the worst of the fucking worst. And inherently we know that. But everybody wants to walk around pretending that that's not the case. Anyways, moving on. Let me get a couple more and then I'm going to call it. Because I'm going to start really going on a tangent here. Because this is the space that I navigate. The subconscious, the unconscious, the shadow. Okay, this is... Even as a child, I was trying to explaining certain things, and it caused a lot of fucked up shit to happen in my own personal life. And I'm sure whoever you are, whoever this is meant for, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Because I always knew I wasn't alone in that. Because when I was a kid and I would talk to other kids about shit, they fucking knew. It wasn't until we got older and all this stupid shit about, you know, popularity and who's this and who's hot and who's got blah, 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 that all of it started to get distorted. And again, it's all continues to reflect. Anyways, and then we have guide. There are many lessons learned, exactly. And with the chandelier here, it's how like one current can power all these lights. One thing can hold all these lights. One vessel can hold a multitude of lights, okay? And like, if this is a crystal chandelier, I want you to think for a minute. If you've ever seen a true crystal chandelier and the way that the light refracts out of it when it's fully lit up, it is so beautiful. All the little fractures, all the facets and everything make it just, it's enchanting. It's a very magical sight. Old world designs were like that because they were a reflection of something profound, and they would put it symbolically in something seemingly so simple. And it made, everywhere your eye turned, it was a reminder of this sacred inherent knowing. And of course, now they don't have it out, but it seems to be making a comeback. We're going to bring it back. But anyways, like I was saying, it's about the lens of perception. It's what you take from the lessons that you learn. And if you're doing it with integrity, because integrity is so important. You can't truly learn the lesson if you're going about it in a false way. If someone's trying to teach you something and you're just telling them what they want to hear when they've been talking to you, and it's like, have you learned this lesson? Da, 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 and you're just telling them what you think that they want to hear you say, then you haven't learned anything. You're not doing that guide, that teacher, any fucking favors. You're not, sure as fuck not becoming the teacher's pet by proving that you didn't learn shit. You just learned how to pare it back, how to use your mental fortitude to find the quickest avenue to get what you think you want based off of an assumption of what you think someone would want to hear, would want you to be, what have you, and that's what you had chosen to act off of. It's okay to not know things. It's okay to ask others, and it's okay to learn shit from other people, and it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to have facets, to have cracks, and whatever, because that's what makes the light fucking sparkle. It's not just about letting the light in. If you let too much light in, it permeates everything, and you have full-blown whiteout, and you're blinded. Just like what had been kept in the dark was blinded in its own way, so too can the light be blinded when it forgets about the fucking sparkle. What makes it sparkle? All the little fractures, like, hold on. I love this about crystals, okay? Because this is why this one is my favorite crystal. This one right here. It's because of all these little cracks. Because when you shine a light through this one, oh my fucking God. It's so beautiful. Now is where when light comes through this glass ball here, it's not even made of crystal, this is made of glass. But it's just, it's pretty. Yes, a rainbow can come through it, but this one produces countless rainbows. In colors, I'm pretty sure that they don't even have a fucking name for yet. I've seen some badass shit through the way that light plays through crystals, okay? And it's not just about seeing something clearly as you've already seen it, just through a clear lens. Okay, that's what I thought it was, and there it is. Oh, okay. There's no fucking sparkle. You look through something like this, and what you thought, like, what you thought was there suddenly looks so different. You're seeing different things. You're seeing... Have you ever, when you were a kid, did you ever put on, like, your parents' glasses or something? Or try to look through binoculars that had a cracked lens? You know, you'd see some of the coolest weird shit. And when the mind, when perception is that powerful and you can, the mind is letting things reflect through it in a genuine way, then you start getting all this badass, like, imagined stuff. That's what the imagination is. It's taking the familiar forms that we've seen 1,000,001 times over and expressing it in a new and beautiful and profound way. And then you get to choose what meaning you give that. You know what I'm saying? That's some beautiful shit. Alright, past loves, friends. It provided a way for the wealthy to burnish their egos and boost their status. We started taking your partners, lovers, what have you, and using them not as a person, but as a way to make yourself look like something you're not. A decoration, not a person. An appliance, not a soul. Like, you get what I'm saying? It's starting to touch on the riff, okay? And then we have here, let me spoil you. And these are opals. And if, and back to what I was saying about the forms that used to be and all this, and especially stuff about the old world. Well, a lot of opals come from, like, have you ever seen opalized petrified wood? Have you ever seen an opalized fossil? They're some of the most beautiful minerals and pieces of history that you'll ever get to see. And all the colors, like, I love opals because of, especially like fire opals. Oh, one day I'm going to have me some beautiful opals when I can afford them. But this is why. It's because, like, all this color and everything, let me spoil you. It's not about so much of, like, all the rings on that finger, like the material aspects of it. It's all this color. You see this? Let me spoil you. Let's play with perception. Let's bring what had been bound to darkness out of these, really fucked up, sick-minded. Let's heal it. Let's get these false projections the fuck out. Let me spoil you by showing you what life can be, what we can do. Remind you what magic is and that you're part of it. Play with me. And that's the feminine polarity is so full of imagination and has the capacity to bring forth, to bring creation through, okay, with that womb, all right, and to have, for some of us, holding the imaginations and shit that we do, it is torture to not be able to see it outside of ourselves. Because we remember, our hearts remember, Anyway, if you know, whatever. And then we have let your hair down, party. Get off your high horse. Remember what it was like to just party. And this is also talking to the feminine polarity, to the shadow, like, let's just be. Enough of this. We already know the rules, the house rules, okay? Be careful what you wish for. Be the change. Less is more, more is more. Dedicated to crafting, inspiring the world, and begin your own tradition. Let your fucking hair down. Like, if you want to take it back to, like, Sophia and Yaldabaoth and all that, take it in, to the whole way that the Cabal tried to put it with, Sophia creating something without the permission of whoever the fuck, and it just turned into this awful thing, and it was just And that's the reason for everything. And it was so bad. God forbid a woman dream something. God forbid a feminine, even fucking polarity, the feminine force, even beyond form or whatever, dare create something for itself. After having been a co-creator up until that point of all the ideas that this other polarity had presented to it, and using itself to work with that force to bring about that other polarity's ideas. But now all of a sudden when it creates something on its own, it's a problem. Never mind the fact that that polarity hadn't even stopped to think, that other polarity that it co-created with hadn't stopped to consider maybe there was a reason that the feminine polarity felt like it could even come to it and ask, hey, will you co-create this with me? It's never written about whether or not that was ever asked and what the answer even was. But with the way everything reflects in the here and now, because it's all reflections of reflections of reflections of reflections of reflections, we already know now, don't we? Then we have thank you. What is good taste anyway? Radical, trouble, beauty, legends. And we have stay hopeful, the beauty of a fresh start. And rivalry, spy, compliment, don't worry until you must, drama, grudge, ass. What makes you a legend? Is it drama? Is it rivalry? Is it a grudge held? What is it? What makes you a legend? Let's get two more and then I'm going to call it. This is reaching the point of redundancy here. Again, reflections upon reflections upon reflections. Oh shit, it's the 13th house. Working in harmony to create home, and then on the door it has like 13. I don't even know if you can fucking see that shit. Anyways, whatever. I thought it was cool. Oh, and then we got spy, exposed. Ooh. Hold on. Yes, because this had spy here. What makes you a legend? And I was talking about when you're a kid, these are two kids, and I was like, have you ever looked through a pair of binoculars with like a broken lens or whatever, and then this comes out. Ha! Ha. If you get it, you get it. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and call it here before I start just fucking laughing my ass off maniacally, and I was gonna be like, she's fucking falling off her rocker again. But anyways, that was for somebody. I hope it helped. I hope it provided you with something. Yeah. Until next time. Bye.